talk in public without an instrument in front of myself, because actually I'm a musician. I usually play music rather than talk about it. But for tonight, I was going to name this talk "Graphic Systems in Music," but actually I'm going to talk only about my music. So it's graphic systems in my music. So basically, what I'm talking about is why would anyone choose a different system than classical notation if we already have a quite sophisticated system. And the other thing I'm going to talk about, and that interests me in this subject, is how does it influence each other, the system and the music, or the visual aspect of a musical piece. How does that influence the music in the end? So this piece that you see here is a piece I wrote a couple of years ago when I had a concert with two other drummers. I'm a drummer myself, and I wrote a piece for 3 snare drums. So just 3 drums of the same kind, and each of the drummers is supposed to play snare drum rolls only. So I was wondering how can I notate that in a way that makes sense, because in classical notation you have these 5 staff systems, and you have all these tiny dots and bubbles and lines and connecting bows and stuff, and all that seemed insufficient for what I basically wanted to tell the musicians. So what I did was I sat down on the kitchen table with a pen, and I made some lines like that. And then while doing that, I realized that the way I draw actually has an influence on the way I think about the music in the end. So basically I finished this, and then I looked at it, and actually I thought, wow, it also works just like that. You know, it's, of course, this is notation for musicians to play that, but it's also, I don't know, a drawing somehow. So that was for three drummers. Basically, it's 3 lines, 1, 2, 3, and then it goes from left to right, and then it goes in the second part. It goes from left to right again. So basically, it was a little bit like a very open timing. Like if you see a line, then you play. If this, like number 3, sees that this one has stopped, so he waits a little bit and then he plays. So it's all quite vague anyway. So the next thing I did was I got kind of excited about drawing and stuff like that. So I made a piece for 6 snare drums. That was already a little bit more complex, but in this case, I added a timeline for the musicians to play with the stopwatch, so they could actually see what like they played exactly at, like, I think this started at 20 seconds and this was exactly 40 then, and so these moments where you see some all 6 start at the same time, that's pretty exact then, because everybody plays with the same timer, and yeah. And then this was just dynamics, like start soft and become louder, and actually in this one it was even more so that the way I made the drawing had an influence on what I wanted the music to be. Like the part in the middle, for example, was at first was much more like much shorter in a way, and then I thought it doesn't look so nice. I'd rather do it a little stretched out, and then it became twice as long again. And here's a picture of the performance. So then I added another idea to the drawing aspect, and that is I can use colors, which was a bit weird for me because I never felt so much like a visual kind of guy. I felt it was very difficult for me to choose colors, and I did a lot of. I thought a lot about what colors to use and stuff. In the end, what I did was I made a black and white drawing, and I scanned it, and I did the colors in Photoshop so I can try them and change them later and stuff. I made 3 pieces like that were, the idea was I think of a system, a graphic system that can be interpreted, but I don't think of the music. So I gave these 3 pieces to an ensemble in Paris, friends of mine who were supposed to just analyze what they got and to find their own system how to interpret these pieces. Which they haven't done yet, but they said they will. So that's the first piece, which is maybe the most obvious, I think. Well, I'm not sure how obvious it is, but at least what I thought is if somebody gets that, he would probably read it from left to right.
Can you explain it? What is it? How can you read it?
You can start reading here, and then go there. But I didn't define the content. I thought of a system more. It's a group. It's an ensemble piece. And basically, I can maybe tell you what I thought while I was drawing, and that is, you have an ensemble, and the ensemble can be divided, and that's what happens here. You go from here. Part of the ensemble goes here, and at the same time, another part of the ensemble goes there, and then you come to this rectangle thing, and then you're together again, and then the ensemble divides again. But that's all stuff that the musicians who play that can decide.
So the circles and the tablets.
Yeah, rectangles.
Yeah. No, that's right. Rectangles. What's the difference between them? Or
I don't know.
So it's like abstract. You give it to the musician, and whatever he feels from it,
No, it's not about what they feel. I want them to sit down.
Yeah.
It's like hieroglyphs, maybe. It's like they found this somewhere, and they know there is a system behind that because it looks quite accurate and everything. And the colors look like somebody chose them for a reason, but they don't exactly know the reason. They don't know what it is. Huh?
But if there isn't a system behind it, you said that they know there's a system behind it, but
they don't know. Of course, they don't know for sure. They could also just say, it's some kind of abstract painting. I'll just play abstract music.
sing it like how you would hear it.
No, I can't because it's an ensemble piece.
I mean, just one instrument.
No, I can't. I really can't because there's no content given. All that is given is how to divide the ensemble and how these things relate to each other. So probably a bubble like that would have a connection to this smaller bubble, and a rectangle like that would have a connection to the long rectangle here. Probably the same colors would mean something.
If it starts at the same time, they decide to start at the same time at one point, what separates it from doing something like guitar hero, where they start and move through and they hit the different instruments at different points? No, if it like, are they like each symbol could like represent a different type of instrument and go through?
Maybe if you find a system that will make sense, defining each bubble as a different instrument, that could make sense too. I didn't tell them anything about that. I thought when I made this drawing, I thought it's going to be like that. They are going to start here all together, and then one group is going to go here and play 3 different things. Well, basically it's A, B, A kind of, because these 2 are the same. While the other part of the group is playing only this. Of course, I could also have written, in this part you do a certain musical action, and then in this part half the ensemble does a certain other musical action, and the other half does these three things. I could have written that more precise, but I decided for the colors because the colors don't represent much. They just resemble each other, so you can say the lighter brown might refer to the darker brown, or I don't know.
But actually your thing is also not to take responsibility on the music. So you give something to the musician and they make their own composition out of it. In a way, it's just a help for them to invent something or to become creative.
It's like a shared responsibility between the composer and the ensemble, if you wish.
Yeah.
But of course, for me, as I'm also improvising a lot. So for me, this is not so unnatural. A composition that gives the performer a certain responsibility is for me kind of a natural way to do it. So I gave them 3 of these. The second was this, which already is a bit more abstract maybe, or not, I don't know. Actually, this one inspired me to some other pieces I'm going to show you later. But in this one already, my idea of what how it might be translated into music was already pretty vague. I kind of knew it's possible to translate that, but I just made a drawing. And then in the third one, I don't have a clue about this. That's maybe the most philosophical. And it could be an atom, it could also be a solar system or something.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. The next thing I did was I did the same principle as in the second piece before, but I knew the system this time. So I made 5 of these pieces that all look a little different but use the same colors. I mean, not all colors are in all of them, but I use 5 different colors. And then I made scores for the musicians that look like this. In this one, and there's a system, and I'm also going to play the music. That's the last thing I'm going to do. Because it's a little bit weird to talk about music, but not give any example. So in this one, we have a timeline. So it goes from 0 to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And you have 5 lines. And so one line is for one musician, and the colors represent tones or pitches, basically pitch regions. They can be played a little lower, a little higher, but it's basically the pitches are given on the right side. So I recorded those pieces with 4 other musicians,